everyone? Zeddy here again with yet another card review. We have more ridiculous Death Knight cards to go over. Legendaries, they take all of your frost runes. You need 3 for at least most of these cards. We'll get into them, as well as I want to, of course, remind you guys we have our giveaway going on of 2 mega bundles out of my pocket, 2 regular pre-orders out of my pocket. All you have to do is like and comment on the video description below, subscribe to the channel for every 1,000 subs until all the cards are revealed, which is like on the 26th, I believe. We will add another mega bundle, so hit that sub button, make me go broke. So before we get into the cards though, I wanted to give a bit of clarification on this card, Death Chiller. We reviewed it earlier. It's like 2 mana Flame Waker for Death Knight. It looks ridiculous, but I wasn't entirely sure if it could hit face, like say there's no enemies on the board at all, if it could hit face twice or once. My understanding is it could only hit a minion or enemy once, so you would lose out on damage. It's not quite as good as Waker that way, and it's been basically clarified by one of the devs, Leo Robles, on the Hearthstone team, that it cannot hit the same enemy twice, so not quite as ridiculous as a Flame Waker and all of that, but that's basically my interpretation anyways. But I just wanted to clarify it since, well, we have that information. But we got a few new cards. Yeah, we got some cards, including a legendary, but we'll get to that in a second. First, we're going to start off with the new undead minion. So this requires 3 frost runes. You have to have 3 frost runes, which means you're a complete frost deck. You can't run any of the unholy cards. You can't run any of the fire cards. You have to be 100% frost. So this has the strictest of deck building requirements around it. So it's got to be pretty good, right? You're going to want to get that upside. Well, it's a 6 mana 5/5 minion. Well, it's terrible. It's terrible. 6 mana 5/5. It's just bad stats. We can move on to the next card. Okay, well, we want to do that. We'll look at the text, because it turns out cards that have text on them can do extra things. This is advanced. This is why you come to this channel, for advanced Hearthstone knowledge. Yes, text can do things. So we have Battle Cry. Spend up to 5 corpses. So you've had 5 friendly minions die that game. You banked it in your graveyard. You can use up to 5 of them. Deal 2 damage to a random enemy for each. So that's Pyroblast. That is literally like old, like Cthulhu Pyroblast style of card. Battle Cry, yeah, deal 10. And it says deal 2 damage to a random enemy for each. So if it's an empty board, that should go face 5 times for 10 damage, because it's a random enemy for each. So my understanding, I'm gonna have to make a clarification video for every single card. My understanding for this card, for Marrow Manipulator, is that it can do a pyro to the face. If you have 10 corpses banked and you play Bran, I would assume this would deal 20 damage. But overall, yeah, it's a really good board control tool. You have to have plenty of minions die. Friendly minions die to fuel this. So you're gonna have to have stuff die to fuel this. But you know, it's similar to like a Reno the Relicologist back in the day, which would hit only minions, but you had to build around of, you know, singletons and all of that. This doesn't have that, and it can go face, and you can run 2 of them. It's a rare. It's not even a legendary. It's not an epic. It seems pretty good to me. It's an undead as well, for whatever synergies there may be going with that. I don't know. Seems good, but like the deck building requirement around it, you're really gonna want this card to be worth it. And I just don't know. Is it really worth those 3 frost runes? I mean, how does anybody really know until we actually play with this stuff? We're kind of just spitballing here. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, just because I do think, you know, fueling it with the corpses of the friendly minions might be a bit of a requirement. But overall, it's an insane battle cry. It's such a good battle cry. I'm gonna bump it up to a 4 out of 5 standard wild, because that is a ridiculous battle cry. And like, let's say you only have 2 or 3 minions in the pool, right? You have 3 corpses. Still deal a 6 split amongst enemies. Like, that's pretty good. So yeah, I'll give it a 4. Like, these cards seem really good to me, and I'm trying not to make. I'm going the other way of Demon Hunter, where I was like, when I review those way back in the day when I was, well, I'm still terrible at reviewing, but I was even worse maybe. I rated everything so poorly. Now I'm rating everything so OP, because I'm like worried I'm gonna be wrong, but we'll see. And yeah, we have the new legendary that again requires 3 of the frost runes. It is Lady Deathwhisper, 4 mana 4/3. So again, terrible stats. We can just move on. It's got bad stats for 4 mana. You're not playing it. Okay, I made the same terrible joke twice. Good God, what am I doing? Anyways, Death Rattle. Copy all frost spells in your hand. It's pretty good. That's a lot of value. Reminds me of that 4-mana 4/3 legendary that Dragon had. I can't remember the name. I'm sure someone will know in the comments. It was a battle cry, so better in that regard. Would copy like all the dragons in your hand, which I would say is probably worse than spells, especially with the frost spells that are, Deathlight has access to, like 0 mana, gain mana. That's pretty good. The AoEs, the 3-mana swipe, things like that, right? Like it's only frost spells, not spells entirely. And again, it requires the strict deck build around of 3 frost runes. So you really need this to be worth it. And the fact that it's a Death Rattle makes me a little bit hesitant on it, because you're not getting that immediate effect. You're not gonna be like, okay, I can play this and then immediately refresh my mana with the, that 0 mana refresh spell. Like that's the card that stands out. That's like the most busted frost spell we have seen so far. You got some good AoEs, you got some good value spells. It's just the fact that it's a Death Rattle definitely takes it down a notch for me. But if you're playing that like surviving, annoying freeze Deathlight, it seems like it's just gonna be freeze mage with even more broken cards. That's the idea I'm getting from it. And maybe Lady Deathwhisper gives you a couple of that 7 mana freeze that freezes the entire board. You get a couple of those, and that's just a ridiculous amount of stall, and you're burning your opponent out. I mean, you can always play this and like kill it off yourself too. There's always that implication. I don't see it as like an OP crazy legendary card, but I do see it as like a really good value engine for that kind of grind out, freeze, like outlast the opponent, burn him out deck, which is kind of what I'm seeing this Frost Death Knight archetype being. So I don't know if I'm gonna go higher than a 3 on this. I think just because Death Rattle slows it down, like it's a big deal, and it's harder to manipulate your hand with what you're holding and all that stuff. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's a playable card. I think it can be good in those archetypes, but the strict build around it and the delayed ability of that Death Rattle makes me think that maybe it's a bit lower on the power level. But again, who knows? It's probably gonna be like day 1 Death Knight, like 80% win rate, Demon Hunter, Zeddy Rant could go Blizzard. We'll see. But yeah, I'll give it a 3, and let's take a look at the next card. And lastly, we have another Death Knight Frost legendary. Thessarian requires only 1 rune, so not quite as strict a build around as the last card. 4 mana 3/3 undead minion. It has Reborn, Battle Cry, and Death Rattle. Deal 2 damage to a random enemy. It's funny how all these cards can go face. None of them are really worded for minions. And yeah, this is just a really sticky, annoying minion. You get 2 bodies that will count towards your corpses. It'll deal 6 damage, right? You get the Battle Cry, you get the Death Rattle on the first one, then it's Reborn, it comes back with that Death Rattle. So you're dealing 6 damage for 4 mana. You're getting 2 bodies. Incredibly good card. Like, it's just a ridiculously good card. It doesn't require too much as long as you have 1 Frost Relic rune. Whatever, dude. I'm never. I gotta like write it on my arm so I never forget. But regardless, this card to me feels like it's gonna be auto included a lot. Couple it with a brand, I guess. You deal an extra 2 damage, but just something that fights for board, deals gets your corpses going. Just so much good stuff with this card. I don't think I give it a 5, but I'm giving this a very strong 4 to 5. Just really, really good legendary. I feel like it's better than the last one where it, copy the spells and it requires so much more build around. Like the spells and the value is good and all, but like this is just great tempo fighting for board and just pumping everything going with your corpses. I think it's a really, really solid card. So that's all the cards revealed today. We'll have at least a couple more, probably not 2 more reviews tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. See how the card reveals go. And well, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.